But even as these men came ashore, the invasion forces were still facing intense fire from the last remaining Cuban strongholds in the hills surrounding the airport. For the first time, the Americans, who allowed only their own news teams in, showed how their heavy artillery was trying to pound the opposition forces into an early submission. Smoke-blackened skies mark the locations where the strongest resistance had been coming from. In addition, the Americans have been making repeated airstrikes to weaken the Cubans and to allow ground forces to take up better positions. With the battle for the capital, St. George's, over, the Americans turn their full attention to the south. The first accompanied excursions into the island by independent witnesses uncovered what President Reagan feels has clearly justified military intervention in such a formidable way. A short ride with the Marines through rough terrain, and there was a group of Cubans being held prisoner by armed police units from Barbados. Earlier, at least 200 other Cubans were flown out to Barbados for repatriation. It's now believed that the Americans have captured at least 600 Cubans, with as possibly as many as 1,000 others to come after the fighting. The numbers far exceed what President Reagan's intelligence advisors were saying before the invasion. But perhaps the biggest prize of all came when the Marines found what the President says is yet more clear evidence of Cuba's occupation plans for Grenada. Russian and Cuban ammunition was found, as well as communications equipment. It was all there in such quantities that the Americans believed this to be the makings of a full-scale military base. These are the weapons which Mr. Reagan says turned a friendly island paradise into a Soviet-Cuban colony, being ready to export terror and undermine...